Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video, we're taking a look at the MOGA XP7-X Plus by PowerA. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, PowerA provided this XP7-X Plus for a fair and honest review, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. This controller is designed for mobile and cloud gaming. It works with Android, Windows 10 and 11, and it works over Bluetooth or wired. Taking a look at the specifications, it's got a 2000 mAh battery. The Bluetooth on this is version 4.2. It can accommodate an 11.86 inch wide phone. It's compatible with Android 6.0 or later. Now, something I noticed right away while reading the box, and something I'm not the biggest fan of, is that it's got a micro USB cable. I mean, we're in 2022 now. You'd think we'd be going with USB-C. Now, taking a look inside the box, the very first thing I see is a very nice instruction manual. The instruction manual is clear, it's easy to read, it's very detailed, and something I would recommend keeping around. Underneath everything, we've got a very weird micro USB to micro USB cable with a USB-C adapter on one of the ends, and a very long micro USB to USB cable. And obviously the most important thing in the box is the XP7-X Plus, and here it is in all of its glory. On the left-hand side, we've got a check battery level button, we have a D-pad, a joystick, a view button. On the right hand side here we have that Xbox button, which also serves as a power button, ABXY, a menu button, and a second joystick. On the bottom of the controller we have a toggle switch between USB and Bluetooth, and on the right hand side here we've got a green button, that is the program button. On the back of the controller we have two paddle buttons, which is actually really nice to see. There is no rubber on this controller, it's completely plastic, but there is some texturing on both handles. On the top of the controller we have our LB and RB buttons, as well as an LT and RT, and yes, these are analog triggers, which is really nice to see. There's a Bluetooth button as well as a power toggle here, because reportedly this controller can charge your phone. And we've also got that micro USB port. Here's a quick peek at one of the analog triggers. I am extremely happy this controller has them, and we'll look at them more in detail in just a second. I may be able to overlook the fact that this has micro USB because it's got analog triggers. And last but definitely not least, tucked right into the center of this controller is a phone stand, and this phone stand isn't too bad at all. It does click, it's got a couple different settings, and there is rubber on the top to help keep your phone or tablet in place. The holder did a great job at holding my phone in landscape mode. However, I couldn't get my phone to stay in portrait mode at all. Surprisingly, this little stand was able to support a tablet in landscape mode, and also in portrait mode without falling over. Now, taking a look at the Xp7 Fully extended, and one of the problems it has is similar to pretty much every other controller of this type. The more you extend it, the less stable it gets. However, I will say when my Red Magic 6R was placed into this controller, it didn't feel overly unstable. It felt pretty darn good in comparison with some others. And there's also a space here for a camera bump so it doesn't push your phone out of the holder. I think this controller does an excellent job cradling your phone, and there's space here as well if you do have a phone case. Now, if your phone case is extremely bulky, it might not fit, but most normal phone cases should be absolutely fine. On top of that, in the middle here at the bottom of the controller, there are two little arms that keep your phone from sliding out. Now, I'm not going to lie here, I was very impressed at how well this controller held my phone into place, and I was not easy during this test. Yes, the phone slid up just a little bit, but I would say this is more of an extreme case, and I have no worries that this controller is going to grip my phone absolutely fine, and the phone isn't going to accidentally slip out of it. Now let's check out the Bluetooth functionality of this controller, and pairing it was simple and straightforward. I powered the controller on, I held down the Bluetooth button, and then I found it on my phone. So I've got the gamepad tester booted up, and I was immediately surprised at how sensitive these joysticks are. They don't have much of a dead zone at all. I'm not joking with you here. You barely move the joystick and it does register. Both joysticks do click down to give you L3 and R3, and both joysticks have full range of motion. The face buttons on this do feel good, and the D-pad on this is surprisingly not terrible. I wouldn't say it's the best one I've ever seen, but at the same time, it's definitely not the worst. I would say it's above average. The L1 and R1 bumpers feel good. There's not a lot of travel there, and they have a nice little satisfying click. And the triggers on this, they are sensitive. They work very well. If you require precision with triggers in your games, you might be happy with these. Now checking out the joysticks in game, and they did take a little bit of time to get used to. It was a bit of an adjustment because they are sensitive. And the D-pad on this one was absolutely fine. It's not the best D-pad I've used, but it's also not the worst. The Xp7-X Plus has a very interesting built-in feature. It has the ability to wirelessly charge your phone as you're playing. There's a toggle switch on the top right-hand side. You can turn it on, and that should automatically turn on the wireless charging. However, I couldn't get it to wireless charge any of my phones, and I checked out 3 different phones on this. I also plugged the controller into a portable battery bank in hopes of activating this, and it still didn't seem to work. Now let's check out this controller in wired mode. To do that, just switch the toggle on the bottom from Bluetooth to USB. The included micro USB to micro USB cable with the USB-C adapter on it is an OTG cable, and it did work. It is fairly short though. I kind of wish this one was a little bit longer. However, when plugged in, I did notice something really concerning. The controller was using my phone to charge itself, not the other way around. I don't need my phone to charge the controller. I need the controller to charge the phone. And I confirmed this was happening too by plugging in a voltage meter. Now in terms of input delay, this is a little interesting. I did notice some input delay in Bluetooth mode, and I also noticed some input delay in wired mode. And I noticed even more input delay when I connected this to a PC. While using this controller, one thing I do want to point out, it might not be an issue for everybody, but it was an issue for me. My right thumb continually hit the right joystick. I found the joystick's placement to be a little bit too close to the buttons, and it did become annoying if I wasn't playing a first-person shooter or racing game. For a size comparison, here's the Xp7-X Plus beside the GameSir X2 Bluetooth. As you can see, they are very comparable in overall width, but the Xp7-X Plus is considerably thicker and heavier. And here's the Xp7-X Plus beside the GameSir X3. Again, similar in terms of width, and the Xp7-X Plus is a little bit thicker. So let's take a look at what I liked and what I didn't like about the MOGA Xp7-X Plus controller, and we'll start out here with what I liked. First up, I love how comfortable this controller is. Yes, it's a little bit heavy, but it is a full-size controller. And speaking about being a full-size controller, I love the fact that it does have analog triggers, and they work very, very well. I love the joysticks on this. They're very sensitive, and the rubber on the top is very grippy. It doesn't feel bad at all. In comparison with some other mobile controllers, I'd say the D-pad is above average. I like the back buttons on this. And this controller is incredibly stable holding a phone. I thought my phone would easily fall out of this thing, but it didn't. And now moving into things I don't like about the Xp7-X Plus, and there are a couple of them here. The first thing I don't like is the fact that I couldn't get the wireless charging to work. There is no pass-through charging, so I was hoping that the wireless charging would be a nice substitute for that, and unfortunately, I couldn't get that to work on 3 different phones, either in portrait or landscape mode. It's the fact that when it was plugged into a phone via cable, instead of charging the phone, it drew power from the phone to charge the controller, and that was concerning. In addition to that, I really dislike the fact that this does have micro USB. I mean, we're in 2022. Use USB-C, it's not that difficult. Now, these last 2 things I don't like about the controller might be deal breakers to quite a few people. I don't like the placement of the joystick on the right-hand side. It's a little bit too close to the buttons. Almost every single time I'm using these face buttons, my thumb is hitting that joystick. It's not a great experience. And the input latency on this one, it is noticeable. On Android and Bluetooth and in wired mode, you can notice a bit of input latency. And on PC, it's even worse, to the point where I'd argue it's almost unusable. However, that might vary from phone to phone and PC to PC. I tried this out on different phones and different PCs, and I ran into latency issues on every single one. So taking a look at the price of the Xp7-X Plus, and on Amazon here, it's priced at $99.99. On PowerA's website, it's also priced at $99.99, so basically $100. This puts it in the exact same ballpark as the GameSir X3, as well as controllers like the Kishi V2. So at $100, would I recommend the PowerA MOGA XP7-X Plus? And the answer here is no. No, I wouldn't at this price point. $100 is very expensive for what you're getting in return here. You're not getting basic things like vibration. There are some latency issues, although they may vary from device to device. And on top of that, I'm not a big fan of the joystick placement. It's got micro USB. I think the shortcomings here don't justify the price. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Huge shoutouts to PowerA for providing the Xp7-X Plus for a fair and honest review. Let me know your thoughts about this controller in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.